So what can the RAF do then in response here? The Navy then getting this early lead through the Rees penalty. Nice bit of play there from Sam Matavesi, the Fijian international. McNally driving forward. And those of you who, apologies for the break in transmission that we've just had just for the last few minutes. Hopefully we're back now with you on all our digital platforms. And if you've been away, I can tell you that the Royal Navy have taken the lead here from a penalty scored by Gareth Rees. Not too much going on before that, but a penalty for Rees has given the Navy the lead. And we are back hopefully live on all our digital platforms here. Apologies for that break in transmission. Andy Sanger with me, and Andy, what do you make of it so far? It was obviously the Navy have finally taken advantage and got that 3 points.
Yeah, I think there's been a degree of intent to throw the ball around, try and play with it, some width, a little bit of inaccuracy in the last couple of minutes from both teams in contact, which has made it a little bit stop-start. But I think the RAF will be relatively content. The Navy perhaps had a bit more territory and will be slightly disappointed that they're only 3 points ahead.
Simon, looks like there's a chance now for the RAF here. They've got a penalty of their own by the looks, so they could get themselves straight back into this.
Yeah, need to settle themselves into the game. It's in terms of attacking intent, it's come from those in dark blue. The light blues now just need to establish themselves in this game. They know they've got the kicker. I presume it's Andy Byrne who's going to be kicking. I'm just looking to see who's taking it up now, but they've got to take points off the tee and just settle themselves into the game, and that's what Howard Parr will be determined that they do now. I mean, here we are, we're only, a quarter of an hour into this game, so very early doors.
Yeah, Andy Byrne will be stepping up, and I think Dan Johnson's just come off there. I don't know whether it's HIA or injury.
And he's been, Sam Hutchinson's come on in his place.
And Dan's been a good player for the RAF. Actually played for Harlequin's A team in the league earlier this season, so that'll be a bit of a blow to them.
So Byrne's got a good record with the boots, and that is safely over, and it's 3-3. 14 minutes gone here at the Stoop, and honours even so far in this inter-services game between the Royal Air Force and the Royal Navy. That really is a blow, as we said, to the Air Force. To lose someone so quickly and so early on in the match. Yeah, and Dan's decent ball carrying six, so he adds a bit of physicality to them that I'm sure they're going to need tonight. But we're underway once again. But the Navy have a chance now to drive the ball up. It's a Gary Owen going up there for the Navy, but collected by the Air Force on their own 22. What's interesting there is that the Navy have not committed a single person into the ruck, and their ruck selection and when to engage and when not to is very good. Again, they've got nobody on the deck, whereas the RAF have got 4. So, they're filling the field, and they've currently got 3 in the backfield. So that'll be interesting if the RAF pick that up. Yeah, that defensive discipline forcing the kick away, and Rees will be determined to run it back. Now, this is a guy I'm really looking forward to seeing. Craig Duncan, a new fixture in this Navy team, and at fullback with positions like that, we should see his athleticism and his speed. Yeah, he's quite a counter-attacking player, a bit of edge going on there in the chance for the Navy, and they're going to be over. Oh, it's just brought to ground just before the line. Desperate defence now for the RAF. And that is over, is it? No, it's just short still.
Ball spread wide, and the fullback's going to go over, and Craig Duncan,
I better
who we were
do my
just talking
numbers
about.
for tomorrow, aren't I?
Yes, the Royal Navy then really exploited through the gaps there. I think Josh McNally got involved in an altercation, and he perhaps concentrating the game.
It was a flowing move down that left-hand
really
flank, and Ed Pascoe almost didn't control the contact. That he got the wrong side, didn't lay it back as quickly as he would have liked. Yeah. But when they can finish like that, they've got cutting edge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they had real width, and the RAF, unlike the Navy sort of ruck discipline, they were all sort of honeypotting in, and they got exposed out wide.
Well, it's the man from Ebervale from 4-3 Commando, Craig Duncan, who has gone over for the opening try of this match. The Royal Navy go into an 8-3 lead with a chance for Gareth Rees to add the extras to make it 10-3.
We're so used to seeing John Humphrey in that dark blue 15 shirt, but this boy Duncan obviously gives them a different option. I mean, great strengths that John has and had, but maybe it just allows them to find a different threat.
No, I agree. I mean, John Humphrey was an accomplished 15, but his counter-attacking and carrying of the ball probably wasn't his greatest strength. But Duncan looks a threat, which might make the RAF consider when and where they kick to him.
So Rees with the conversion. That's as straight and true as you come. So a really good start to this game for the senior service here. They clearly mean business tonight at the Twickenham Stoop. They've been a team with intent since they absolutely mauled the French Navy just a couple of weeks ago down in Plymouth. Absolutely gave them a right trolleying, and there's a lot of strength in this side. So it's going to be important now for the Air Force to get themselves straight back into this if they can. They've not really found their rhythm yet.
You get the feeling that the Navy have just continued on from that Marine National game. Certainly in their rhythm, they seem to have clicked into gear very quickly. From a RAF point of view now, they just need to keep their hands on the ball, try and stitch a few phases together and get themselves into the game, because here we are coming to the end of the first quarter. You don't really feel that the RAF have actually meshed their gears yet.
No, absolutely. I mean, the Navy look fluid, they look comfortable with the ball. As I said earlier, their decision-making in contact has been generally very good. Whereas RAF, they look a little bitty and I wouldn't say disorganised, they just haven't got any fluidity to their game as yet.
This rather reminds me of the opening salvos and most Army-Navy games. The Navy are always so quick off the mark, aren't they?
Yeah, unfortunately they have been over the years, but it's...
despite the coaching.
Yes, absolutely. No, I mean, your credit to the Navy, they've taken this first 20 minutes comfortably.
And they lead by 10 points to 3 here at the Stoop, but it's the RAF who win the line out, and they'll bring it forward now. Really important for them if they can cross that halfway line and create the opportunities. They've still got it. That's Dan Johnson there going in. Scrum half Ross McDougall winning his 4th captain eye, but not forward, dropped forward by Dave Manning.
Again, you see that defensive discipline by the Navy, not overcommitting to the breakdown, having reception committees waiting either side and nowhere for the RAF to go. And then the pressure's on the ball carrier, then you get a pass like that, and bless him, he had no chance for that one.
Yeah, absolutely, especially if you had a one-out runner like he was as well. Even if he had taken the ball, he was likely to lose the collision because there was 2 Navy defenders there just sort of sitting there. Probably the influence of Kelly Brown from Saracens, I would suggest.
Well, I was talking to Dave Pascoe at their team hotel this afternoon, just as part of the prep for the Army-Navy game, and actually Kelly Brown hasn't taken a coaching session at all yet, just the way it's worked out. His work with Saracens Academy, he's been more of a coaching sounding board, I think, for Paco than anything else this season. But you can see the work that John Court, Dave Pascoe, etc., B. Winamasi have done, and it really seems to be paying dividends in this first quarter.
$20 more minutes gone here, just into the second half of this first half, if you like. And the There's another injury at the moment to one of the Navy players.
Good to see Nicky O'Donnell on the whistle, following in that line of Sarah Cox, Joy Neville as leading referees in World Rugby. It doesn't matter the gender; they're very good referees.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned to you before the game. I mean, when I was coaching the Army team, we brought Nicky in to do some work with the squad, and she was excellent. And has done some the female Six Nations games this year, and this is great. She's the first female to stand in the middle at a men's senior team, which is excellent
and important.
It is. Well, there's a lot of important things going on for women's rugby at the moment, not least the women's game that we witnessed earlier on this afternoon. A terrific performance from the RAF, of course, scoring 11 tries. But the Navy that showed some signs of life as well and some signs of improvement.
It's a very difficult scenario. It's a bit like England, Scotland in the Women's Six Nations. You have two teams in different places.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, as we discussed earlier, Gary Street, obviously a World Cup winner with England. He's actually just recently come on board with the Navy. You know, they've got some work to do and a long way to go. But with the likes of Gary and the current Navy setup, you know, let's hope that we can get them back up and fighting and being competitive like the both teams are now.
It's difficult when you have to hold that patience in seeing their development, seeing their evolution. And again, I refer to the Women's Six Nations, which I've been working on recently. You have to realise there's big ticks in smaller boxes for these sides.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we speak about Harlequins hosting the game tonight. I know it's something that on our women's side, which is a huge part of Harlequins rugby, they are keen to develop that side of the game on the women's side with links to the forces. So Gary being involved is just one sort of small measure of that.
So it's another penalty to the Royal Navy, and Gareth Rees from a pretty fair distance out is going to go for goal again. Must be confident. There's a confidence throwing in this Navy side.
Yeah, I would think this is close to the edge of Gareth's limit. It's around 42, 43 metres. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
If he gets this, a fair warning for the RAF. As he steadies himself. He's certainly got the length, and hasn't got the accuracy. He went just away to the left, but a pretty fair attempt.
It's difficult to gauge the wind. I'm looking around for flags to give us an indicator, and there aren't any. But you can feel the breeze coming, I think, coming from behind the Navy boys at the moment. You've got to make the most of that breeze if it is an assistance.
Yeah, Alex, I think that was just on the edge of his range.
Yeah, I experienced the breeze earlier when all my notes flew away during the women's match earlier on. But yeah, it's. It
was actually an interesting decision that they went. Sort of when you're in that 40, 45 metre range, it's sometimes maybe better to nudge it to the corner. But Gareth's clearly confident. I mean, he's a confidence player anyway, and thus far he's done not a lot wrong.
From what I've been told, he's been playing very well for Swansea in the Premiership. So he's on top of his game at the moment.
Yeah, he will love being back down there. I think originally he's a Scarlets boy, so playing for the Swansea Jacks might be interesting for him and his family.
At least he hasn't had to move up to North Wales.
Not yet, anyway.
It's 10-3 in favour of the senior service here. The Royal Navy leading the Royal Air Force in this inter-services clash here at the Twickenham Stoop. I'm glad to say we're all back up and running as normal again on all our digital channels here on Forces Network tonight. Apologies for that brief break. You missed a penalty, that's all you missed. And talking of penalties, there is another penalty here to the Royal Air Force. And Dave Manning is just deciding what will happen. And that's a kick for touch.
Interesting pressure coming through from Dave Manning, the RAF tight head then on Josh Terry. That is obviously somewhere that the RAF think they can get some supremacy, but they haven't had many opportunities to really reveal it so far.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Dave Manning. He is technically a very good prop. And Josh, who was in the Navy side 4 or 5 years ago, and then took a couple of years out because of trade and operational deployments. But yeah, he'll have his work cut out tonight.
as the RAF bring it forward. And a real opportunity now for Lloyd Owen. And he's beaten off a handful of challenges and he's very close to the line. It's great play from the RAF.
Oh, what a great turnover.
Great steal from the Navy.
Lloyd Owen, what a running line from the left wing, a perfect line to get against those weaker shoulders as he came through. But how did the Navy turn that ball over?
Well, I mean, the RAF coaches, I mean, they've executed clearly what's an excellent training ground move, but then to not give it out, I think it was Randall who was outside him, you know, and then they're under the post. So, and there's probably some dodgy work on the ground got on there. But
surely not.
I would be wary as to how that came out on the Navy side, but credit to them, they've cleared their lines well.
But that move will give the RAF a lot of confidence. It's the first time we've really seen how they can drive forward with the pace that they have in their backs, and they will take heart from that. And here they come once again. The Air Force well inside now the Navy territory. And it's a penalty taken quickly by Rob Bell. Inside the 22. Bell outside to Byrne, Andy Byrne. But good defence from the Navy, squashing that opportunity. But the Navy, the RAF still in possession. McNally. Oh, lovely play from the RAF. A real opportunity now for Sam Randall, but he's taken out by a big challenge there. That was a great challenge there from Seta Rumakita. That really was an important challenge, wasn't it?
I think the learning from that is don't try and drive through Ramakita.
Yeah,
it's a forlorn task, isn't it?
Yeah. I mentioned earlier he's a physical player, and he's demonstrated it there. But it was interesting, actually, the RAF in their attacking phases there, around the corner, and actually caused the Navy a bit of damage. They ran out of numbers at the end, but I suspect that's a way to cause some damage to this Navy team.
And the spark plug was Rob Bell, because every time he tried to up the ante, every time he just tried to catch the Navy on the back foot, and as a consequence, the RAF were able to make some headway.
Yeah, he's a talented player, Rob, and he's very gritty, nuggety, sort of open side, always on the edge of the game, as you want from your seven. So he needs to spark a bit, and a couple of the other boys, they need to lift, because they're just getting back into the game a bit there.
So the Navy just having to give some attention to Sam Matavesi.
Interesting whispers going around about Matavesi the younger, that he may well be playing in the top 14 before too long. Some strong whispers that he may be following his brother over the channel, and as a medical joker they call it over there, but watch this space.
I know the older brother very much looking forward to the World Cup, obviously.
Yep.
To add
both of them. I think he's been called up as well, hasn't
he? Yeah, I think the Sam and Josh, they're well in the mix with the Fiji squad, I would think.
So the Navy have the put into the scrum here.
I've got a feeling I saw Josh around, because of course Newcastle play Saracens tomorrow afternoon just around the other side of the North Circular, and I've got a feeling he's in the crowd.
Match you've got some interest in, I think, tomorrow, Simon?
Yeah, I've seen Mr. Richards. I didn't say hello because I was too scared. But
what can the RAF make of this? They've had some great possession. They've had some really good attacking movement, that the Navy defending really well and held their line well to clear the danger for now.
That's a big play, isn't it? I mean, we're not even half an hour in, but the RAF, having had those phases of attack, not come away with any points, the Navy will be thinking big tick in the box there.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, their defence was organised. I know that on the sort of first phase they were exposed, but the way they sort of recovered from that, and then obviously they cleared really well. They'll be happy.
It's one try for them so far from Craig Duncan, the fullback, and a penalty and a conversion. But here come the RAF, and here is Dave Manning. That's a brilliant run from him. Brought to ground. But they're very much the initiative for the RAF at the moment as they search to get themselves back into this game.
The RAF again will be disappointed. A great run from Sam Morby in the centre then. Winger outside him and not used. But, they will not be happy with it. They've created an opportunity and they've got to take them.
But some great defence from the Navy and not giving penalties away too, which has been a bit of a problem in the past. Their discipline has been an issue. But not so far tonight, doing really well. But here come the RAF once again, another drive for the line. That's McNally in there, using all his skill and experience to set things up. They're really close to that line now, but the Navy piling in to defend. Oh, it's desperately close now. And that drive is surely going to reveal the try, and it has done. And the RAF have pulled it back to within 2 points of the Navy. Let's just have a look at that again to see if we can sort out who got the final touch.
I think it's Bell, isn't it?
It looks like Andy Byrne, but all the arms went up.
Yeah, it looks like Rob Bell, has emerged to there. I mean, it was absolutely crucial that the RAF came away with points then. They've had some real opportunities and not necessarily taken them. But, yeah, great score.
So well done, the RAF. They've pulled themselves back into this. They've got an opportunity to level it, which Andy Byrne, you put your house on him scoring here. And he does.
Important points for the Light Blues. 10 minutes from the turnaround. We've got a very big 10 minutes psychologically now before they hit the hutches.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said earlier, they've created probably 3 try-scoring opportunities, taken 1. This next 10 minutes will be key. If they maintain that pressure, they'll want to go into half-time with a lead, I would think.
They do have the wind advantage if the wind is blowing, as we're suggesting from right to left here at the Stoop tonight. Then look at this drive from McNally. He picks up the loose ball, goes to ground, tidies up the danger, tidies up the damage, and here come the RAF once again. This is a terrific game. Really is growing really well, this match.
Saw the athleticism there of Josh McNally, and you realise what he adds to the team. Yeah. We mentioned it earlier on, but you see with that capacity why Declan Kidney's been able to play him in the back row for London Irish this season, and why he's proved such value for Bath to sign him for next season.
Yeah, I mean he's a second row, adds real versatility in there, but also as a 6, he's dynamic, powerful, great ball carrier, and again he's an intelligent player, so generally makes the right decision with the ball in hand.
And of course his story is remarkable, isn't it? A man who's came back from suffering a stroke on the pitch and open heart surgery. Career possibly life-threatening at one stage, but career-threatening definitely. Come back, got into the England training squad at the head of the Barbarians match in the autumn, and now the UK Armed Forces Sportsman of the Year as well. It's been an incredible 12 months in the life of Josh McNally, and he will tell you this is, for him, this is so important, though, playing a part in the Light Blues and how they're competing in the inter-services.
Yeah, I mean, he's been fundamental to their sort of resurgence in the last, 3 to 5 years, and he's proud to pull on that RAF jersey.
But here come the Navy. From Makita, when he's at full tilt, there's not a lot going to stop him. But here come the Royal Navy just crossing the halfway line, and they've got a chance again now. This is Greg Lloydell, and a lovely move to Duncan again, and he's got such a huge amount of pace as Craig Duncan. Real opportunity now for the Dark Blues. Oh, this is lovely stuff from them, from Pascoe, Ed Pascoe, the musician based down in Cornwall, a Cornish pirate.
Rob Bell getting into a slight altercation with Gareth Rees there. That's not like him at all. Never one to wind up the opposition 9 or 10.
Your nose is growing longer, Sanger.
Old habits die hard.
I actually wondered on one of the tackles whether it was so frenetic and so quick, whether he'd actually got his arms around there. There was a touch of the barge that went through it, but it was so quick that I think you have to give them some leniency in that situation.
The line-out's been stolen. It's the RAF who come away with it. The little kick forward from Ross McDougall, and it's straight up the field again. It'll be a kicking fest here as the ball comes into the stand.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, whilst we're joking about Rob, I mean, he is absolutely a talented player and is fundamental to how the RAF play. He's gritty, determined, he plays on the edge, and it's one of his qualities. Whilst it can be hugely frustrating for the opposition, he is very, very good at what he does.
And he's 100% committed. You know you're going to get the maximum effort from him. And as you say, for your 7th, that's absolutely vital.
And that's Philpott. Stu Philpott picks it up. Of course, he and Rob Bell worked together at RAF Rise Norton as parachute instructors. So they're used to parachute payments. And maybe there'll be a bit of payment going on later in this game. You never know, do you? Here's the Navy. It's their fullback, Duncan Husick. That's a great kick. What a fantastic kick.
Well, he can run and he can kick. I'm impressed with the Navy 15 so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a tremendous kick. He's made sort of 40, 50 metres. And it'll be interesting to see how the RAF deal with this. What they need to do is just clear their lines without any sort of soft penalties.
Final 5 minutes of the first half. Coach, 10 points apiece. How important would having an advantage, whatever it be, 3, 5, 7, before you go into the half-time team talk?
I mean, if you look at it for both teams, I think the Navy will be slightly disappointed. They'll feel they've had ascendancy in the game, and arguably in that first 20 they were ahead. But the RAF conversely, 3 try-scoring opportunities, converted 1, so they'll not want to concede here. They'll want to get their exit in, and 10 all half-time, probably a fair reflection given that they've had 20 each. Is probably fair, I would think.
Ed Pascoe receiving a bit of attention just there for the Navy. Seems to be okay. In fact, it's not Ed Pascoe, it's Gareth Rees. My apologies. Just receiving some attention there. Obviously took a hit. But the RAF have this line out. It's a brilliant kick from Duncan. And Johnny Humphrey, at this rate, is going to have a huge job, isn't he, to get back into this Navy team?
Yeah, the Navy 15 has been great thus far. That's a great take from Josh. It's how they exit from here. I suspect McDougall will probably put a box up.
Just to remind you, honours even here, 10 all the score here at the Twickenham Stoop as we're going into the last few minutes of this first half here. Tremendous game of rugby. Another brilliant bit of play from Duncan. He's really shone out like a beacon so far in this game for the Navy. Not only has he scored a try, but he's also really showing some terrific skill. Ben Priddy, 30 caps tonight for the Royal Navy. As they approach the 22. Lloydell. And Lloydell again finds Duncan. Referee's pulled it back. But Reester McWilliams there picked that one up. They're a slippery set of customers, these Navy forwards and backs, aren't they?
Penalty call going against the RAF on the tackle. I've got a feeling it may have been Matt Harris, but I'm not sure. But you saw the referee set the call, play the advantage, and not happy that they'd accrued enough gain. This is a big kick now with 3 minutes to go to the turnaround.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's 30, 35 metres right in front of the post. You'd expect Gareth Rees to slot this over. And then it's the last 2 minutes into half-time.
Well, he's 1 out of 3 so far. Will this be 2 out of 4 with the boot for Gareth Rees? So he took a knock a couple of minutes ago, but he seems to be okay. And this would give the Navy the lead again, if he can get this one over. And the kick is good from Gareth Rees. And the Navy return to their lead by 3 points. 13 points to 10 here as we approach half-time with that Rees penalty. And I suppose we could say, the RAF have been guilty of giving away some of these infringements, haven't we? Something that the Navy haven't done. They've been very clean so far, the Navy, in their defence.
It sort of resolved around the tactics. The RAF, had 3 people on the deck then around that tackle, whereas the Navy, they're not committing numbers into the ruck. They're rolling away from the tackle efficiently, and it's therefore not bringing the referee into the equation.
But only 3 points in it, and this game can change so quickly. Both sides having some great possession and really showing lots of skill going forward. You just get the feeling it's going to be that sort of a game tonight where it could just be 3 points that decides it, but neither side running away with this, and it makes for a very exciting contest.
Good secure take there from Matt Tibbetts, but the turnover happening again, and suddenly the Navy get themselves back on the front foot.
Yeah, Eldon Myers there did so well. So the RAF now forced to defend inside their own 25, inside their own 22.
Shows your age.
Yeah. When was the last time you heard someone say 25?
Shillings and pence, I think.
Thank you very much. Yeah. What, before we joined the common market? But the Navy driving forward again. This is terrific play from the great countering from the Navy here. And what's the referee given? She's given the scrum to
RAF.
The RAF.
Yeah.
I mean, the RAF were dicing with things there. They went for 4 phases back, left and right in their own 22. McDougall sort of inducing a little bit of pressure with, roughly a minute left to go. Probably not the wisest. Probably best to clear up the field and then get an organised chase.
So who's going to be the happier coach at the interval here?
Coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. Like we sort of touched on earlier, the RAF will feel they've butchered a couple of opportunities. The Navy 3 points up, so Dave Pascoe arguably will be a little bit more assured. But it's close and it's probably touch and go.
I would say satisfied but not happy.
Yeah, that's probably.
Coaches are seldom happy, are they, Andy?
Yeah, knowing Dave how competitive he is, he won't be happy, but it's.
That is indeed the half-time whistle sounded by referee Nicky O'Donnell. And a very satisfactory, from a neutral's point of view, first half here at the Twickenham Stoop. Because it is the Royal Air Force 10, the Royal Navy 13, as the sets of players leave the field and go for their half-time quarter orange. Do they get these days?
Oh, there'll be isotonic drinks and that kind of stuff.
My age,
you are, but
straw on the pitch? No, I don't.
Yeah, we spoke before the game about how intense and how tight it would be. There was talk that some teams may be marginally better than others, but it's been a typical inter-service game, feisty, aggressive, but controlled aggression. So no, a credit so far.
And who's been the standouts for you?
The Navy 15, Duncan, has been outstanding. He's counter-attacked really well. He's looked the threat all the time. Gareth Rees at halfback has controlled really well for the Navy as well. So, and arguably Josh has done okay for the RAF, but you'd expect that.
I think there's more to come from the RAF, isn't there, in the second half?
Yeah, I'd put Sam Morby up there as well. He's offered so many times off first, second phase ball, and we've seen a couple of breaks from him there. He could be very important to the way that the RAF are going to need to batter at the Royal Navy door in this second half.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a big physical lump, and he's not afraid to put it out, as we saw when he tackled Seti Ramakita. So he'll be key how he carries in the second half.
It's going to be the presentation at the half-time stage here for the women's game, which of course was won by the RAF women. They scored 11 tries, 67-3. We made it 69 because we thought that the conversion went over, but we've not had confirmation of that final score. But it was a dominant performance from the RAF women here, which is certainly food for thought for the Army women as they, of course, meet at Kingsholm in a couple of weeks' time. And Andy, I mean, obviously from an Army point of view, Army perspective, the Army women, in all the years, 20 years of inter-services, they have never lost a game. You just wonder whether maybe this might be the year.
From an Army perspective, they'll say they've prepared well, and they're in a good place. But the RAF have been knocking on the doors, we know, for probably 2 to 3 years, and have got some really talented players.
Yeah, they really have, and you can see the RAF players and the Navy players, women, are coming out onto the field to collect their trophies. And we will stay for that presentation, I think, so you can just see if you're watching at home, wherever you are around the world tonight. And it's great to keep hearing your comments, which we're getting through on Facebook. A message from all over the world coming through. I know that there are people watching in Australia and New Zealand this evening, maybe former RAF, maybe former Navy people who'll be watching this game. And there'll be a mixture of feelings at the moment, I guess. Some very happy with the half-time score here, and others maybe thinking, are the RAF going to do it? Just stay with us. Let it just roll without any comments. And Matt Duncan and also Major Anne O'Flynn, who were the officials for the women's game earlier. The Royal Navy team come forward to collect their trophies, led by A.B. Rose Dixon. And despite that whopping score against them, the Navy will take something out of the way they played earlier on in the match. Sian Williams there with a great broad smile, and why not? She had a terrific game for the RAF this afternoon, produced a tremendous effort. The RAF women have got so many leaders on their pitch in their team, and their captain Chrissy Shizoa, who obviously will be waiting right at the end to lift that trophy, proudly wearing their caps. It's always a great moment, isn't it, to lift any trophy in front of supporters and fans, but for Chrissy Shizoa, this will be a good one. Fantastic. Great scenes here. If you're a fan of RAF rugby, RAF women's rugby, the RAF Vultures had a victory in the Veterans game earlier on against the Royal Navy Mariners. But at the moment, at half-time, the Royal Navy have the lead by 13 points to 10. We'll have the second half for you very, very shortly.
Very happy RAF ladies side there, and Kate Edwards, is joining us now. Kate, we saw you streaking down the wing a few occasions. A great game for you.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Great. I mean, all-round performance as well. I hate to take individual credit. It was absolute. From the bench, from the first team, it was just a fantastic performance.
Your captain did say there are improvements, though, especially before you're playing against the Army, which is a tougher match, arguably. But, you know, you can go away with your head held high, but still a lot to do before that game against the Army.
Oh, yeah, our focus now is completely, obviously, on that game. We had a job to do today, and we've done that. And, yeah, the next thing's next. We're going to, you know, we are focusing completely on the Army.
And a run out here at Twickenham Stoop must be something else. You know, it's up there, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we were here last year, so it kind of feels a little bit like home now. So it was quite comfortable coming here today. But yeah, it's a pleasure, and it's a great pitch to play on as well.
Did you feel like today there are a lot of plans you can put in motion that you'll be then stepping up to your game against the Army?
Yeah, it was structured, and yeah, sorry, he's looking at him in the background.
It was structured, and you're happy going in for 3 weeks' time.
There's a few things to work on, absolutely, like there is from any game. But yeah, we're just going to move on.
Okay, we'll see you at Gloucester. Thank you very much, and a great game for RAF. And back to John.
Kath, thanks very much indeed. Two teams coming out then for the second half here at the Twickenham Stoop. It's so evenly poised here. The Royal Navy leading by 13 points to 10. They've led several times in this game. Gareth Rees with the penalty, a quick response from the Royal Air Force, and then a lovely try by Craig Duncan for the Navy to put them in front, 8 points to 3. But then Rob Bell got the try back, and it was 10-all, and then Rees again with the penalty just before half-time. I've got with me Simon Ward from Sky, and also we've got Andy Sanger as well as our co-commentary team here as the match starts the second half. And this really could go either way, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's a good start there, good carry from Tibbetts, and he's set up a platform. But again, the Navy's so disciplined on the ground. Nobody there, and they're set in the backfield nicely.
Yeah, interesting tactic this. I think you mentioned in the first half there that they're letting the RAF players go to ground, but here come the Navy with their brilliant fullback Craig Duncan, who's impressed everybody here this evening with his plays, his whip-it pace, but also his ability to kick the ball too, which is looking great. And I know that the Army will be watching tonight, Andy, in Portugal on their training camp, talking to Jamie Doig a bit earlier on, who's obviously out there with the boys, setting up the coverage. So, lads, if you're watching over there in Portugal, I'm sure you're not quaking in your boots, but certainly plenty to think about from both of these sides so far. What do you think about that, Andy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the boys, I know they're working hard out there. And, they'll be focused, and they'll be watching tonight's game. And, there's been interesting challenges.
Good defence from the RAF, keeping the Navy at bay. And what a charge that is from the RAF. And they've got the chance. Has the referee brought it back? Yes, he has.
Yeah, flag was up for touch. Interesting.
So they carried on going.
The box kicks from both the nines, and they're going to have to readjust now. You saw Ross McDougall getting far too much distance on it. Conversely, you saw Gareth Rees putting it up, and it almost got blowing back over his head. They're going to have to watch the trajectory of these kicks as to whether they can make some gain or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you box kick, you're either kicking for length or you're kicking to compete. And, neither of them were able to be competed for, and there was no length. So, it'll be a challenge, because I think the wind has picked up a little bit.
So Ben Priddy then with the line out. A drive on for the Navy. Inevitably, Josh McNally right in the thick of it for the RAF. Loose ball, but great work there from the RAF from Lloyd Owen, I think it was there. Did really well. And they're still driving forward. Duncan will be under that. Across to his scrum half, to Gareth Rees, whose kicking's been very important so far for the Navy. The ones that he has put between the posts. It's going to be such a battle in this second half. There's McNally. His trademark bandages around his thighs. Last year he was actually bandaged up, I think, on his ankles as well, literally outside his boots. He was carrying a really bad injury, but he refused to come off the field last year. Such is his commitment to the cause.
Again, the tactical kicking is going to be critical with the way that they're opening this game up, and we're already seeing Reese, we've seen Byrne trying to thread kicks through. They're going to have to be careful. We saw, a delicious line from Lloyd Owen in that wonderful run that he had in the opposition 22. You give either back threes the chance to run, they're going to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the kicking game has been a bit of tennis, sort of ping-pong with the ball initially, but Byrne there he induced pressure on himself, and therefore they've turned the ball over.
And from a coach's point of view, so often now we see those grubber kicks that they brought through from Rugby League, 4 or 5 years ago. We see them blocked, and we don't on a regular basis.
And we don't want to see this. A stretcher has come out. It's obviously a bad injury here. Looks like Rob Bell to me, but Andy Byrne, yeah, looks like a nasty injury to him.
It looks like, it's elbow, isn't it?
Yeah. Has he dislocated his elbow or?
Well, big opportunity for Owen Smith now.
So that's a second kicker gone for the RAF.
Not only is Andy, one of their tactical kickers and their goal kickers, he actually sort of makes their backline tick a little bit, so that'll be a loss there. It'll be interesting how they deal with this.
It's the Navy drive forward. Another fantastic run from Duncan. Can he be stopped? And no one's going to stop that. It's going to be a try for Reeston McWilliams for the Royal Navy, and what a great start for them for the second half. And you can just see what it means to the Navy players.
You could see it coming, but there was nothing the RAF could do.
Yeah.
Duncan coming from deep at pace with that running gait, that speed that he had. There's the offload, perfectly timed. What a score.
No, absolutely superb. I mean, that trailing sort of run that he's coming off the back of the scrum. I mean, the RAF will look at it and think that their back row should have got across, but he come at such pace and such a good angle, it was almost impossible to get onto him.
Bit of celebration
time
as well.
Already.
Maybe a bit too early for that kind of celebration, but that was a terrific try for the Navy, and that really puts some clear dark blue sky between them and the light blues.
No, not enough yet. There's far, far too long to go in this. 35 minutes left, but a big psychological blow for the dark blues. It has to be said.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was really great about that run from Duncan was having done the sort of damage with the line break, his timing a pass and the sort of calm way that he dealt with the pass as well was superb.
Being able to execute in that scenario for a young man, wow, he's making a big impression already.
Absolutely, and I'm sure that the Army will be looking at this and will have their markers on him.
So, the Navy go 10 points up on the RAF, 20 points to 10 here at the Twickenham Stoop. We've played just over 5 minutes of this.
Matt Harris, I think, making his way off. That's the loose head coming towards us. Was it Matt Tibbetts? Beg his pardon. Well, an early change at 8.
Yeah, Matt is perhaps not as athletic as he once was, so we're probably bringing him on for a bit earlier. Ooh, big collision there.
And the RAF need to produce something here if they can. Presumably it'll be Sam Breeze who comes on, will it, for Tibbetts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether Matt Tibbetts has had a knock or whether they're just thinking, with 2 scores in it, they might need to inject a little bit of sort of pace into the game, and Sam Breeze will bring that.
But just sat away to our right here in the commentary position, the Royal Navy bench, with Dave Pascoe, of course, running the senior coach these days. He'll be absolutely delighted with that early-ish response from his players in this second half. Oh, not forward, and that's a mistake surely there by Ross McDougall, and it will be
And that's what I was talking about, John, that change of trajectory, and immediately you see the effect of Gareth Rees getting further distance on it and forcing his opposite number under pressure and conceding that unforced error, advantage Royal Navy.
Yeah, and I think we can, a bit worrying for the RAF. You can just see a few heads starting to drop, and how they deal with the pressure in the next 5 to 10 minutes could be, telling for the rest of the game.
Another change at scrum half immediately from Howard Parr, so already making changes in the spine of this RAF team early in the second half.
Rory Woods has come on, is a good player. Really snipes around the base, which might tie in some of the Navy defence. So he's perhaps having a bit of a tactical sort of impact on the game.
I noticed Ross McDougall was not very happy about that replacement being taken off. So
that's not necessarily a bad thing. You want your players to want to stay on, but I think the RAF probably do need to just change the way their attacking game is going, and Rory will give you that.
So Rees with the put into the scrum, and it's been turned round by the Navy, and Rees again has it. Incredible tackling from the RAF, desperate to get that ball back, but it's the Navy who are inside the 22, and driving forward now was Chris Robinson. Out to Matavesi. This is great work from the Navy here. The RAF being forced to defend as the dark blue surge gets closer and closer to that line. If they were to get another try, that really would put them in the box seat here in a game that we've not seen too many scores really. It's been that tight, but there's a 10-point advantage for the Navy. They lead 20-10. Can they increase that lead? Haylor going in there, Jared Haylor, the number 8. Very patient. This is patience play from the Navy. Still have it. Haylor again, this is great play. Oh, fantastic play from Jared Haylor. And it's going to go across, and surely it's going to be another try, is it, for the Navy? No, it's got into touch, and great defence from the RAF there to keep the Navy out.
It was Morby with the tackle. Dimmock Williams taking the wrong option to step back into the contact, but really important tackle from Sam Morby.
Yeah, and he put his body on the line there, and saved what was arguably a certain try for the Navy.
But terrific work there from Jared Haylor there to create that. He was just dunked and dived his way through several challenges to almost get himself to the line.
Us infidels from outside the services come in once a year, and always my first question is, what's different from last year? I'm seeing a very different Navy attack in the confidence, in the way that they're playing it, and the continuity that they're getting in the first 50 minutes that I've seen of the Navy this season.
No, absolutely. I mean, the Navy have traditionally played a conservative game, I suppose it would be fair to say, but they've looked dangerous tonight. They've varied their point of attack. They've gone close to the breakdown. They've gone wide, and they look a threat, and they look a complete team, to be fair. So with the threat from the back as well.
And I repeat that the Army boys who are watching in Portugal tonight, there's certainly be a bit of food for thought, I'm sure, amongst them as they're watching this Navy performance. But the RAF driving themselves out of trouble at the moment. A good driving maul from the RAF approaching the 22. Great work. And Josh McNally right there at the
great work
centre
from the light blue pack. Very important work for them at that point in this game. Just had to reassure their team that they had some dominance up front.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob Bell was instrumental in that. He was pretty vocal in keeping that going forward. Josh was doing some hard yards as well. So and that was important, as you say, because if they don't get out and clear their lines, it's going to be hard for them the next 5-10 minutes.
So just over half an hour to play here.
Looking across that light blue backline, looks like Luke Riddell is stepping into that fly half berth in the absence of Andy Burns. So interesting to see now how he tries to spark this back line once they get over into opposition territory.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a distributing 12 anyway, so his hands are quite good. And with Rory, who snipes, if he can hold some of that Navy back row, which at the moment are just pushing out, and you know, McDougall hasn't offered a massive threat there, so he will offer something different.
Philpott then finds McNally from the line out, and again the RAF going for this driving maul and doing it very successfully. When you work out that they've almost come from their own line with several of these challenges, several of these mauls, but it's still in light blue possession.
Yeah, Matavezi's just worked his way around well there, and Rob Bell has made the right decision to break off, because I suspect that they might have been turned over then.
This is good play from the Air Force. They've really turned defence into attack. A real test of the Navy's defensive expertise now. Ball goes out wide. This is great play from the RAF. Good tackling though, keeps the ball on the 22. That was Sam Breeze getting involved.
Morby down in back play there, John, so RAF attacking a man light.
Yeah, they've had quite a few injury issues in this game tonight, which must have disrupted them in key positions, but they're still going, they're still pressing for a try to get them back into the game, trailing by 10 points here, 20 points to 10 in favour of the Dark Blues. The visitors really here to the Stoop. This is the home game for the RAF, don't forget. Inter Services champions looking for a bit of inspiration. Oh, that's a penalty, surely.
Josh Terry coming through, anticipating too quickly, if that's a sentence that's legit.
Yeah, and you know, the Navy will be disappointed with that, because they were almost in control of the defensive situation, and you know, they've now lost the front row with a yellow card, and that could prove crucial.
It looks like he's going to go for goal here. Luke Criddle is the penalty taker. Commentary cursor, we talked about the good discipline the Navy was showing in the first half, and that's really the first signs of ill discipline, which, you know, they've lost a man for 10 minutes.
I don't think it's indicative of their general discipline, though. It was just over-enthusiasm almost.
Yeah, it was definitely an individual. You know, Josh Terry's got a little bit excited. Fortunately for him and for the Royal Navy, though, the RAF missed what was a relatively easy kick.
Yeah, so that's 3 points have gone a-begging there for the RAF, and it remains 20-10 in favour of the Royal Navy.
Big changes coming off both benches now as the coaches try and change the sway of this game with 25 minutes left. Very interesting to see how it affects the tactics, if at all.
There's Josh McNally weaving his way through, trying to inspire his teammates. Giant of a man is Josh. Looking forward to his new challenges coming, of course, at Bath in the Premiership next season, and it's a tantalising thought he and Rocco will be playing together in Bath colours next year, unless, of course, you happen to be the opposition and Harlequins, possibly.
Yes, it's great to see two service people both at the same club. One light blue, one red, and that's great for service rugby.
Well, I was thinking of applying for a free season ticket for Bath, as we will have at least a seventh of the Bath first team in our lineup. But there's
problems there for Owen Smith, John.
Yeah.
Just he ducked into the contact, or seemed to. I think it was Jared Haler. He ducked into the contact, his legs have gone straight away, so no sooner is he on the pitch and he's going to be stepping off at least for an HIA.
Replaced by Toby Mann, who's come straight onto the field.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he returned to the field after that. He took what looked to be quite a heavy collision, and when his legs went, I'll be surprised if he comes back from a HIA with that.
Another disappointment for the RAF. They really have not been blessed with a great amount of good fortune tonight in terms of injuries. Looks like Matt Tibbetts could be making a return.
The officials just trying to work out if there's 15 on the park. Ross McDougall desperate to get back on. But it's going to be a mix and match RAF backline now.
And this really will not help their continuity at all. Referee just coming over to try and sort this situation out. Nikki O'Donnell, as we said, the first woman to referee an inter-services in senior men's fixture, which is, as we said, is a great step forward, and she's handled this game superbly well so far, as one would expect. And I think all credit to the RAF physio who saw the issue straight away and was out there before it even got any worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And got him
they
off
were
the field
on straight away, and like most players, they want to stay on the field, but he'd clearly taken a blow, and absolutely the right thing to bring him off.
Good spot there by Martin Addison-Smith, who's watching us on Facebook tonight, who saw that incident and saw how quickly the physio responded. Such an important part of the way this game is played now, that there's such intensity in play and physical contact. So here come the RAF. Josh McNally at the centre of things again. This is so important for them. They can get something out of these next few minutes and get themselves back into the game.
I mean, the RAF will want to make it with a capital year, with still having the Navy still one down in the bin. They'll be keeping this, keeping it tight, and then they're off.
And here we go.
Some good play there.
Oh, it's nice, a lovely grubber, quick forward, but out of play from the fullback, from Sam Randall, and it means that
crossing in the RAF backline not helping them, and it's a penalty to the Navy there. Big call from the officials, but they were fairly clear.
Yeah, Nikki O'Donnell, she's actually had an excellent game, I think, in the middle. She's made the right decisions at the right time, and is not afraid to call it.
So maybe clear their lines.
Nate Huntley back on now as the Navy playmaker. What difference does that make to the way that you see the Navy playing out this final 22 minutes?
I mean, Nate is he's a good tactical kicker, so do they want to close out the game? Arguably, but there's still 20 odd minutes left. There's a long time to try and
too long to close out.
Yeah, to close it. But he's a good all-round player, Nate. He's got an attacking game as well, so he can offer both. And
Greg Lloyd going into that inside centre berth, of which he's so used to, of course.
Charge down, the kick from Reese. Charge down there by the RAF. But it's the Navy who
got away with that one.
The Navy get the push in, don't they, to the scrum. What a melee it is down there.
Reese getting away with that kick, trying to kick out of a telephone box there, and there was, when you got the likes of Josh McNally casting shadows all over you, not the best of options maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
again, the thorn in the side of them. Rob Bell was the one that charged it down and got stuck into Gareth a bit as well, which is all good Seven stuff.
Rob Bell is so impressive. I mean, I know, may not have the frills of some of these back row forwards, but he is perpetual motion, isn't he? Just doesn't stop.
Yeah, he's what would traditionally be called a dog of a player. He keeps going. He's gnarly. He gets in the face of the opposition, and he's always on the edge. And again, he's just sort of caught Gareth, and Gareth's not quite taking too kindly to it.
Kai Beasley into the mix now, replacing Rhys Dimmock-Williams as the Navy try and run out this sin bin.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the RAF do here. They're a man up in the back line. It'll be interesting to see where they look to attack.
So where's that going? It's going to the RAF again. Another put in. We think a crowd in excess of 5,000 here at the Twickenham Stoop tonight, which is another terrific attendance on a Friday evening to see this inter-services fixture, and all credit to everyone involved with staging this event tonight, and particularly to Harlequins, of course, who are so supportive in making this match happen as it did last year, and we really hope it's going to be a regular fixture here. Or I heard some comments or some thoughts that maybe this game should go around the country a little bit, and maybe we should play this one in the north of England. I don't know whether that will ever happen, but it's a massive step forward for these games to be played on Premiership grounds.
Yeah, I mean, as a club, we're hugely pleased to be hosting it, and I think whilst it's growing, they should probably build a bit of roots first, and then look to expand later from there. I think the Army RAF game going to Gloucester will be great because we've played there previously in the years, and the crowd down at Gloucester will love that.
Yeah, it'll be a fantastic turnout there in a couple of weeks' time, and if you can't get there, of course, that will also be screened live here on Forces Network. But the RAF looking to try and break down the Navy. Time is beginning to run up against them a little bit. We're over halfway through the second half here. Josh McNally again. Everything seems to revolve around McNally, but the Navy have stifled him so much. But they have got a penalty.
That was Beasley coming through, and just got to hold that discipline. And that was a case of, dare I say, more than over enthusiasm. He just lost it.
Yeah, it's difficult when you come on as a replacement. You want to make an impact into the game, but again, it's an unforced penalty, so the Navy will be disappointed because yet again they were controlling the defensive situation, and now it's a line out 10 metres from the line with the RAF driving more, gathering a bit of dominance.
And Scott Makepeace getting a lecture from the referee there. That's too many penalties in her mind, so they've got to make sure that they hold on to that fortitude, that concentration now.
Another injury to an RAF player just on the halfway line, and
sin bin over, so the Navy back to 15. But interestingly, Chris Robinson is the one that comes off the tight head, so Beasley presumably will stay on. Will he go into tight head?
Yeah, well, Josh has been able to play both sides. Has played both sides in the past, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. A well executed line out move there. Josh again instrumental in that, and it'll be interesting whether I think the RAF will be hugely disappointed and say that perhaps that was brought down not quite legally, but
it's a very PC way of putting it, Mr. Sanger. But look to from this distance like the RAF pack had really sorted that one out.
Yeah, and
brought to ground rather unceremoniously.
Yeah, and whether that's legal or not, it doesn't matter because that's what the ref's called, and you just got to play it. So it'll be interesting. It'll be difficult for the Navy to get out of this corner though, with the wind against them.
We will see.
Josh Terry packing in at tight head now, so interesting to see whether that changes the equation in those front rows.
And you just feel the RAF have got to get something out of this, haven't they, really, at this stage? They really have. They're still 10 points behind. And they'll feel that the possession they've had and And look at the drive that they've got on, and they've got the momentum. Dave Manning in there. Navy clear their lines. That was good play from the Navy there, just relieving the pressure.
I mean, Gareth Rees has done well to get that to the edge of the 22 there. That is, if you look at the touchies flag, or assistant referees as we now call them, the wind is just gathering up, so he's done well to get to the edge of the 22.
I'm not the only one showing my age then.
Well, Simon is a little bit older than us both.
Harsh. True. And untrue.
I think I'm
just looking at that RAF backline now and seeing how that mix is setting up. And Sam Morby is in the inside centre role. If they use his physicality, they can make gains in that midfield, as they showed in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a strong ball carrier, but they'll want to keep it in there initially.
Happened again, deja vu.
Yeah, and again, the RAF will be hugely disappointed at the outcome of that. You know, whether it's legal or not, they've got to be smarter. And if it's getting cold as it is, they've got to get it to the back and get it away.
First sighting for me of Mitch Spencer, South African back row for the Navy, wearing 20. Already twice in those breakdown areas, in that contact area, he has shown to be very beneficial.
Yeah, he's managed to work his way around in those driving walls. You know, he's staying contacted all the time. So, you know, technically he's legal, and he's fouled it up twice for them.
But now it's the Navy who have the ball. Ross McDougall with the put in for the senior service.
Quarter of an hour to go, John, and this match, you still get the feeling, is in the balance, albeit there's a 10-point buffer for the Dark Blues, but one score now from the RAF could change the whole feel of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, momentum is a crucial thing in sport, and if the RAF, you know, capitalise a little bit on some of the momentum they've had, make it a one-score game, and then it becomes a different game.
And we have seen this before in these inter-services matches. That's lovely play, fantastic play there from Toby Mann. He picked that one up right on the edge of the line there, and it allows the RAF to keep the momentum, albeit in their own half. Gosh, they have worked hard, those forwards tonight. They really have. They've given everything, haven't they? Both sets of forwards. Not a lot's going to be left on that field at the end of this game.
Ooh.
But it's stolen by the Navy. And a great opportunity for them now to counter. This looks good. And a real opportunity now. Matavesi going through, and so was Rumakita. And if it were the Navy who were to get the next score, then you really might begin to think that this would be beyond the RAF's reach. Drive from Josh Terry. Good hold-up play, the RAF holding them up just outside the 5 metres. But it's the Navy again who look like they could score here. This has really been their first sojourn into enemy territory for a long time in the second half. Oh, that's great play, and that's going to be the try. And they are over, and it's Ben Chambers, I think.
Nate Huntley, I think it was a bit of magic from the maestro there. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but it all started with an uncharacteristic header from Rudbell, making a poor decision with the ball in contact, and credit to the Navy. 6 or 7 phases later, Nate Huntley under the, and in by the posts.
Well, absolutely crucial try there for the Navy to put them 25-10 ahead, and to absorb the sort of pressure they have absorbed, being a man down, and to come back the way they have. It's fiercely impressive.
Yeah, I mean, they've absorbed maybe 10-15 minutes of real pressure. They're a man down, as you say, and they've dealt with it, so credit to them.
And there was the swing, John, wasn't it? There was a swing of coping with whatever 10-15 minutes of RAF attack inside their own 22, coming away from it, having not yielded anything, get in the opposition 22 and strike. Game over.
Such efficiency, very similar to the way the RAF women played against the Navy this afternoon in so many ways. Real efficiency, real efficiency with the ball going forward fiercely. Very, very impressive.
And it's a long road back now. 3 scores. It's tough to get back in the sort of 12 more minutes that sort of left in the game.
So McDougall with a chance then. He's taking the kick this time. And it's gone wide. So it remains 25-10, a 15-point lead for the Royal Navy. Sorry, Gareth Rees that was, I do beg your pardon, who has missed that opportunity. And that real urgency now for the RAF. They've got to get something in the next few minutes. Just 11 and a half minutes to go here in this inter-services fixture, live from the Twickenham Stoop. The Royal Navy leading the Royal Air Force by 25 points to 10. And here come the Navy again, but well collected by Sam Randall. The danger now is that the RAF might get a bit desperate and leave themselves open to more attacks from the Navy. And they've really run out of options on the bench as well, haven't they? That's a big problem for the Air Force.
It hasn't helped the flow, has it? Let's face it, they've struggled with injuries at bad times.
Yeah,
never a good time, I know, but the way that the game was going, you needed an Andy Byrne in there just to have that hand on the tiller.
Yeah, absolutely. He's sort of fundamental to the way they play from both an attacking, with ball in hand and as a tactical kicker.
10 minutes left, just over 10 minutes to play here at the Stoop. Well taken by Rees, that was good play. Or did it go out? I think the ball might have gone out, foot in touch perhaps. Just a consultation with the touch judge from Nicky O'Donnell.
Sleight of hand from Gareth Rees being picked out by the officials there, but you can see again the confidence, almost ebullience that these Navy boys are now playing with because they believe.
Yeah,
it's a fickle difference, I know, but it is very apparent in this.
Yeah, so, dealing with that 10-15 minutes of pressure, that will give them a huge amount of confidence. They probably realise that the game is won. They'll still need to, keep amongst you, and of course bonus points are a factor in the championship. So it can still be decided.
Well, I'm glad you reminded me of that because I'd forgotten that bit. Which means then that the Navy boys will want to keep their foot on the accelerator to go for that fourth try. Yeah,
that's why when we were discussing as John was talking, the fact that they're on 3 tries will mean something to them. And likewise, the RAF will want to get within 7, because it'll have an effect on the championship.
A few more changes for the RAF before that section of play commenced.
Scott Makepeace wearing the metaphorical armband. What difference do you think that's made, both in terms of the team but also to Ben Priddy without the responsibility?
Well, it's interesting because the difficulty or the problem with Ben being skipper is that he's got a key function as a hooker, with the technical aspect of his position, but also he's been traditionally quite a good try scorer for them, so it's added pressure as a captain as well. And I think Scott has done really well too, tonight. And Ben has contributed in other areas as well. So they will say that the Navy has worked for them.
Also, it's that Martin Johnson factor, isn't it? 6'7" in second row, flipping the coin at the beginning of it, and there is that sort of feel to it.
Yeah, and it'll be an interesting when Jamie Miller, the Army captain, when they sort of face up to each other,
because he's a lump also. So, yeah.
Well, this has been a highly professional performance from the Royal Navy so far tonight. The RAF, though, will fight to the very end here to get themselves back into the game. We've got under 10 minutes to go, just 8 minutes left on the clock here. As Dave Manning drives through, well collected there for the RAF, and Josh McNally again trying to surge his way through, but I think the ball might have gone forward.
You feel for Manning and Bell, John, don't you? Because they really have done the hard yards consistently, both in defence and attack. They really have applied themselves, but ultimately they've been unforced errors in many cases that have just stymied their flow.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll be disappointed that individually they've worked really hard, but it just hasn't really clicked for the RAF. I think those missed opportunities in the first half, when they do the analysis on Monday, they'll rue those missed opportunities, because it'd be a different game now.
Reese to put into the scrum. And it'll come back once more. At this stage, we're going to say bye to Simon, who has other duties to perform, I think, for
I've
Sky.
got to get my head into Saracens Newcastle for tomorrow, so you'll excuse me if I need my beauty slick.
We're so grateful to you for your contribution tonight, Simon, and obviously working together with Andy at Twickenham as well. We're looking forward to hearing you two at work on the Sky commentary box, obviously, which will be broadcast on BFBS as well come May the 4th. But that's to look forward to. Simon, thanks so much for your time this evening.
Pleasure, John.
And I think you're probably leaving it with almost certain now going to be a victory for the Royal Navy here tonight, but we're into the last 6 minutes of this game, and a chance now possibly for the RAF to pick up on a loose pass here, and the support for the RAF is as strong as ever as they try to get something back out of this game.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of a bouncing ball, they got stuck in, Rob Bell got stuck in, and unfortunately the bounce hasn't quite gone their way then.
What we might do is see if we can get a comment from Dave Pascoe towards the end of the game. He's sat just quite close to us, so he's obviously deep in conversation with his bench at the moment, but it'll be good to get his thoughts at the end of this game if we can. But we've still got 5 minutes to play here, and we've seen in other games that games can be changed in the space of just a few minutes, Andy, but I have to say 15 points looks too much for the RAF to make up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to see an England-Scotland Six Nations last 5 minutes, but
as a Welshman, I knew you were waiting to say that.
No, not at all. I mean, the Navy have probably deserved it, to be fair to them. They've taken their chances. They've been a little bit more clinical, arguably a little bit more physical, and I think with Duncan and Gareth Rees, they probably had the two stand-up players on the field.
Well, speaking as a proud Englishman, I have to say that Scotland deserved to win the Calcutta Cup this year, and all credit to Wales. I haven't actually seen you in face-to-face to say congratulations. I'm sure that the Grand Slam was it's probably you're still smiling now about it, so that says it all really. But yeah, a terrific Six Nations which will be long remembered as the RAF again try to drive their way forward. Rob Bell once again, who has just been awesome tonight for the RAF, and here they go. Is there a chance there on that far side, just approaching the 22? Collected again by the Air Force. Alex Stanley, his first cap tonight from RAF Watersham. Sam Breeze making his contribution. Josh McNally. Good possession from the Air Force here. Bell again Never say die attitude from these RAF players.
Lloyd Owen on the wing has looked dangerous for the RAF all evening, but what they've been faced with is a very well organised Navy defence, very disciplined, and apart from the odd individual error from the Navy defence, that's what's been got a telling difference in the two teams.
It has been a difference, and also the fact that the Navy have taken their chances. When they've had those opportunities, they've grabbed them with both hands, and some terrific pace as well from their full-back Craig Duncan, especially in the first half. We've seen from him tonight a real star in the making, I think.
Yeah, he's been a threat all evening with the ball in hand. He's counter-attacked well. He hit a great angle which set up I think it was their third try. He's been a real threat, and I'm sure the Army will be looking at him closely.
Looks like Dave Manning is coming off the field, or is he just coming for a quick bit of attention? He is leaving the field, the RAF captain. Shaking of the hand. No one could have given any more tonight than the RAF captain. It's not going to be enough though, and the Navy are still hunting that fourth try, which would give them the bonus point. It's great play from Makata, and the full-back in there again, Craig Duncan, but it is coming back. And I think this game's been played in a great spirit this evening. And it's there's been obviously the usual little niggles that you get in a contact sport like this, but really great spirit from both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want physicality, you want a bit of grit, and you want a bit of niggle, because that's service rugby. But it's been played on the edge, which has been excellent. And both teams are a credit to their respective blue jersey.
Well, I've got a brief stoppage in play here now for the players taking on water. Just a couple of minutes to go here at the Twickenham Stoop. It's 25-10 to the Royal Navy against the Royal Air Force, the defending champions. That championship very much looks as if it's going to be in jeopardy now. And of course the RAF have got to go to Kingsholm in a couple of weeks' time and play the Army, who I'm sure are desperate to get out there. They've got the Mols Memorial match, of course, before that, which is coming up this coming Wednesday in Bedford Blues. And it's great that games like that still are being played, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Bedford Mobs game, it's the alternates between that and Northampton Saints, and I know that the Army are looking to put out a strong team and look for a competitive game.
RAF trying to clear their lines, move out of the 25, out of the 22. I've said it again, 25. If you were selecting a man of the match then, and we're not doing men of the match because this is very much a team game. I'm not a huge fan of man of the match, to be honest, Andy, but if you were selecting someone maybe who might have been outstanding tonight, who would you be going for?
I mean, I think there's two players that have stood out for the Navy in particular. I think Gareth Rees has been instrumental in how they've played. He's organised really well. His tactical kicking has been excellent. Is it Craig Duncan at 15? He's just offered a slightly different perspective to a Navy attacking game, and arguably he'd probably get the nod as man of the match.
So there we are. That's the views of the former Army head coach, of course, Andy, and I'm sure that everyone's going to have their views. Maybe Craig Duncan as well, the Army fullback, the Royal Navy fullback. Dave, I wonder whether we could get a quick word with the head coach for the Navy, Dave Pascoe. We've got a microphone there for you, Dave. Obviously just a couple of minutes to go now in this match. We're very close to the end of the game. And you'll be pretty delighted with the way your boys have played tonight.
We've still got room for improvement, so it could be an exciting month for us, with our next challenge obviously being the Army.
Very much so, a couple of weeks' time, and of course you've got a chance to get the boys back together again and look at the things that you can improve on. But some great individual performances tonight.
Yeah, the boys have stepped up. I think they've played well as a group as well. You know, the RAF offer a very physical challenge. They're big, hefty unit, and they've certainly been very physical tonight. So I'm sure there'll be some bruises and sore bodies on our part.
There will indeed. And another thing, so great discipline your boys have shown this evening, particularly in that first half. Great discipline in defence. Yeah,
that's one area we've been trying to work on, but you know, in the inter-service battle, sometimes that goes out the window a little bit, especially in the first half.
Would you like a fourth try? That would be nice, wouldn't it, for the bonus point?
Yeah, I would like it. I'd like it for them as a group, really. They've worked hard today.
They have worked very well. Dave, thanks ever so much for joining us very briefly and during the course of the game. And notice great intents in your views, and as you were talking, obviously down to the touchline. But you've got a nice big smile on your face now.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Dave Pascoe there, the Royal Navy head coach, just joining us live this evening, and it's great to get his views on what's been a very professional performance from the Dark Blues this evening. And they must feel now that they've got a great chance when we get to Twickenham.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've. I mentioned it, Simon, earlier. They've been good all round. I mean, they've always had a competitive pack. Perhaps not necessarily a huge attacking threat in the back line, but they've got strong runners. They've got a hard running midfield. Pace on the wing, Setty on the wing, Craig Duncan at 15. So yeah, they look an accomplished team.
They look the real deal. They really do. Here's Josh McNally. Oh, that's a great drive from him. It's the final ball, and Josh is laid down on the ground there. They've given their all, but that is the final whistle. It's blown here at the Twickenham Stoop. A really appreciative crowd have enjoyed a terrific game of rugby union here tonight. But it's the Royal Navy who are victorious. They've won the game by 25 points to 10. They've seen off the challenge of the RAF here on their home patch. The defending champions, of course. An awful lot for them to take away from this evening. The RAF will go away and lick their wounds as they prepare to take on the Army at Kingsholm in a couple of weeks' time. But Andy, really impressive performance from the Dark Blues tonight.
Yeah. I mean, the Navy quite rightly have come out victors, but that last phase of play has been symptomatic of the RAF performance. They break the line. They force an offload, doesn't quite go to hand, and then yet again they've not taken a chance that arguably they've created. So disappointing from an RAF perspective, I'm sure. But as we just said with Dave Pascoe, Navy are all guns blazing, ready for Twickenham.
It's going to make, as I say, Twickenham a very exciting place to be come May the 4th. That earlier kick-off, of course, the 2 o'clock start this time. Big changes happening for the Army-Navy game this year.
Yeah, but I'm sure the product on the field will be as abrasive and as exciting as always. So, really looking forward to the day.
Just tell me, Andy, well, we've got you here. Obviously, it's been brilliant having you alongside tonight, along with Simon. In fact, we'll come back in a second, but I know Kath Brazier is down pitch side, and she has got I think it's Dave Pascoe that she's talking to. So we heard from Dave a few minutes ago. We'll see him right now.
Okay, a really big win there for the Navy. It's so important that they get that win on the board ahead of their final game against the Army across the road. And with me, a very happy head coach, Dave Pascoe. Dave, that is a way to start, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm over the moon for them and for us as a team. We set out to come here for a win, but you never know going into inter-services how it's quite going to go. Big physical side, the RAF, what we kind of expected. So boys are pretty sore, I'm sure, but it's been a tough 6 weeks for us, and that is the end goal.
And do you think that's part of the reason you've had such a long training camp and you're staying in camp until the Twickenham game as well? That's been really important to build morale, build spirit.
Yeah, no, it's helped no end, and they're a tight group, as you can see, and they're delighted with that result. I keep looking over there because they're all celebrating at the moment. And but they fully deserve that. They've worked really hard on and off the field, and so I'm pleased for them.
It looks really, really slick. Is that something that you've worked on? I mean, like you say, they're playing for each other, but they just seem to be there for every ball.
Yeah, no, they really are, like I say, working hard for each other. It is obviously what we've worked on in that unity, but they're just tight as a group this year, And maybe that's a few years in the pipeline, but there's a few new guys come in, a few of the youngsters are starting to step up. There's a real good feeling, a good buzz about them as a group. And tonight, to be honest, I think there's more to come, so I'm really excited about the next few weeks where we can go with this group.
And it's funny because it's such a small series, there are only 3 games in it, but it does seem that this first game, especially when you've beaten the inter-services champions who performed so well last year, and you guys had 2 losses, it's such a big step for you guys to have made so early on.
Yeah, and all credit to RAF. Like I said, they're a big physical outfit and real, always a tough test. And at times there, the momentum went their way, and our boys just dug in us.
What was lovely when I spoke to Scott at your training camp earlier this week and Bubba, they both said that they're not thinking about the RAF, they're not thinking about the Army, they're totally thinking and totally focused on their game, and you seem to have instilled that in them.
Yeah, so the inter-services, some years we got caught up about what everyone else is doing, and you sometimes forget about what you're actually about as a group and what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go, and I firmly believe if they get it right on and off the field as a group, it doesn't really matter necessarily who we face. The outcome will be the kind of outcome. Last year we didn't get any of the outcomes that we wanted as a group, that we sort of expected, but we went in just expecting them, not really worked for none.
What's so lovely now, only especially because the RAF have come so far in the last few years, that it really is a three-way tournament. You have no idea what to expect every year.
Oh yeah, it's such a challenge. I mean, like you say, you don't know who's going to throw down what and how it's going to go, and sometimes it's a funny game, and it literally is. Each game is like its own individual cup final. So all we've done is prepare the best we can as our own group, and then hopefully it's been enough, and tonight it's been enough.
And a good, really good practice for Twickenham match, really.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's more to come from this group, and we've got a few weeks to work on a few things, so hopefully things will go well at Twickenham.
Okay, Dave, go and celebrate with your players. We'll speak to them in a bit. Dave Pascoe, head coach of the Royal Navy, and we'll see him at Twickenham in a few weeks' time.
Indeed, hopefully we'll get a bit of reaction from the RAF in just a few moments' time. But just while we are on the subject, I'm just thinking about how the Army will have reacted to seeing that, Andy, because, food for thought for them at their training camp in Portugal as that comes to an end.
Yeah, absolutely. They'd have watched the game tonight, and I've just spoke to an analyst actually who's got the film, and no doubt will download that for them tonight. And we've got an experienced coaching team with the Army, Bernie, Mal, and so that they know what they're doing. They'll analyse the Navy team. They'll see there's lots of threats in there. But before that, they've got to look at the RAF. So we're jumping ahead a little bit, but the RAF will pose problems at Gloucester. Perhaps weren't as fluid as they would have liked to have been tonight, but So the Army will be ready and raring to go.
Just had a tweet from the former Navy coach Ash Coates, one of your old adversaries, of course, and a great mate, saying, we got it a few minutes ago, saying that just a few years ago the Navy were 14 points up with 5 minutes to go. The match ended in a draw. Not so tonight. They have learned a lot from some of those harsh lessons of the past. Yeah,
that was very nice of Ash Coates to bring that up. The Navy I think they were 15 points up, so to get 3 scores it would have been something. So, but it wasn't to be. It's a convincing victory for the Navy, and Army RAF next, and then Army Navy.
Indeed. Well, we're just seeing the presentations going on now down on the pitch in front of us, and all those players from both sides have just given 100% this evening. We're getting some great comments coming through on Facebook tonight from those of you watching all around the world have obviously enjoyed the game this evening, and I think whoever you support tonight, you'll agree that it has been a terrific advert for Forces Rugby. Once again, we've had some terrific games over the last few years, but this is right up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you only have to look at Josh McNally now, a full-time professional rugby player, and he's been out on his feet at the end of the game, so he's given everything, as have all the all the service boys, both light and dark blue.
What do you think Howard Parr will be saying to his boys? Obviously, when the dust settles a bit, they'll look back at the replays and think, where did it go wrong? Was it the injuries that they suffered that disrupted their play?
I mean, there's no doubt that the injuries would have played a key part. When you lose key decision makers, your 10 is obviously fundamental to it. He also changed his 9 early. But I think what will be telling when they do the analysis is them early opportunities that they had in the first half, 2 clear try-scoring opportunities that they didn't execute, that were simple, after they've done the damage with one-on-ones. And at this level, at the service rugby is competitive. You've got to take them chances, and it's proved costly.
Well, these presentations taking a great amount of time. Every single player from both teams having their photo taken as they receive their trophies. And of course, the losers' trophies don't mean too much, do they, to these players? They want to be winners. The RAF are used to winning. 2 championships in 3 years. It's quite difficult to get used to saying that from an RAF team who used to be the whipping boys, really, against you and the Army and the Navy for so many years. And it just goes to show that they'll be hugely disappointed that they've lost this game, just because they're used to winning.
Yeah, I spoke to the chairman prior to the game, and they were confident. They really fancied themselves. Having looked at both teams prior to the tournament, I thought the Navy would edge it. As it is, they've gone quite convincing. I thought it would be a score in it, but if the RAF had taken their chances, then perhaps it would just be a score.
It might have been a bit different, indeed. So now it's the turn of the Royal Navy to come up and receive their prize, their honours for a great performance tonight. And we can't really praise the senior service enough this evening for what they've done, because they really have. I think it was something that Dave Pascoe, and you were talking to Dave earlier, that in fact they've done really well over the last couple of seasons, but they've come away with wooden spoons when you might say that they might not have deserved it, but they've carried on working. They've made some changes. They've got some new players in, working alongside some of the established players, and it really has paid dividends this evening.
Yeah, they're the fact that they've nearly got a month to sort of analyse, to look at the Army, look where they could have improved tonight, and they'll feel they've got another 10-15%. And then you throw in the Twickenham factor, which always raises the game of the Navy in particular. So it's setting up nicely.
It really is. Well, these presentations are going to go on for a while yet, I think, and we'll just stick around to see those, because it's great to see the winners getting their spoils at the end of a hard night's work. And I don't think people realise sometimes just what a energy sapping game this game of rugby union is. And when you see someone like Josh McNally, who is a Premiership star, as you say, collapses on the floor at the end of a game, having just given 100%. None of these players, there's nothing left on the pitch tonight, is there? Nothing.
No, absolutely. Like we touched on earlier, they've both done their service proud. And there's internationals on that field as well, and they'll feel that they've gone through a hugely competitive game.
Trophies, a few more presentations to be made, and then the brand new Royal Navy captain will be receiving the trophy very shortly. That's Scott Makepeace. Good decision, maybe, to give him the captain's armband tonight. He's been very successful at under 23 level, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, and he's carried that forward. He made the right decisions. It appears that he's led well. Really nice touch there to bring in the rest of the boys with him as well, and good on him.
And particularly Ben Priddy, making his 30th appearance tonight in a Royal Navy blue shirt. The applause from the RAF players behind as well. It means so much to the senior service. It means so much to Royal Navy Rugby tonight to have won this game and to set themselves up for a match just a few hundred yards across the road at HQ on May the 4th. But this will mean a huge amount to the Royal Navy. It really will. And they'll all have it posing there for their photographs.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Ben Priddy, what an amazing player he is.
Oh yeah, he's been a phenomenal player for the Navy over the years. But they will see this as half a job done. It'll be interesting how they cope with this month. When we spoke to Dave, I think they've got 2 remaining games between now and then. They'll probably do a degree of rotation to give boys a game. But yeah, it's great to see for them.
Yeah, a bit of a huddle going on behind there with the RAF. They're in the huddle. We'll just see whether we can grab anyone from the either team for a very quick chat. Just seeing that Kath is going over to see if she can grab someone from another maybe Navy player, maybe the Navy captain as well, just for a quick word, because it would be great to hear what they have to say, the players on the pitch. They're going into their huddle at the moment. We'll stick around just a wee bit longer and see if we can get a comment from down on the pitch side. Obviously, we heard from Dave Pascoe a bit earlier. Dave, delighted head coach for the Royal Navy, and what he's done. He is the most capped player, isn't he, for the Navy as a player? 35 caps he has to his name, and then you've got the likes of Bob Armstrong behind him. Now, we're talking legends here, aren't we?
Oh no, absolutely. Dave that you know what he's done on the field, and now what he's trying to build off the field as well as a coach. You know, he's been an absolute legend for Navy Rugby and for UCAF for Combined Services Rugby as was. You know, and he's a good bloke to boot. So you know, I'm pleased for him as an individual. But you know, the RAF equally will be some good lads in there as well.
They certainly will. These are great scenes that we're witnessing here at the Stoop tonight. Last year, great scenes from the team in light blue when they won the Inter-Services title on this very ground 12 months ago. But this time it's the Royal Navy's turn to celebrate, and you know, in a way it's good to see the honours being evenly spread around in Forces Rugby. I know Andy will disagree with me. You want the Army to win every single time, of course he would, but from a neutral point of view and from all services point of view, it's really healthy to see Inter-Services Rugby as wide open as it clearly is at the moment.
You've done very well, John, there to compete with that. I think it's a Navy shanty, the call, isn't it? Yeah, so they're obviously going to celebrate tonight, and I should imagine they'll celebrate hard.
Just for a while anyway, just for a while, and then they'll be back to business again. Now I think we have got the Royal Navy captain, Scott Makepeace, and he's down on pitch side now with Kath.
Yep. Here with a very victorious Royal Navy captain, Scotty Makepeace. Scotty, what a start!
Oh, unbelievable start. We knew coming into the game exactly what the RAF would bring. We've worked really, really hard since the Marine National game. And yeah, it's an unbelievable start. So just focus, we'll enjoy tonight, focus on the next 3 weeks, and hopefully we can do it again in 3 weeks' time.
You did say to me earlier in the week, of course, that you were only focused on your game, and that seems to have worked so far.
Yeah, I mean, we know what other teams bring, but we bring a different ball game. We know that. So we like to focus on us. We like to
Thanks,
focus on
Thanks, Pretty.
we like to focus on our own game and yeah, and really nail our basics well.
I know you brought Pretty up with making a fool of himself there, but his 30th cap, and he's been so important to you as a previous captain.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain. I've had the easiest takeover going. He had the morale exactly where we needed it. I came in and nothing needed to change. So he has earned every right to be up there lifting that cup with me. Yeah, 100%.
And you know, also about the morale of the camp, and that will carry you through to the game against the Army as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll enjoy tonight, but we know we've got a lot of hard work to do. We know we've left probably a little bit out there. We've got a lot more stages to go through. So we've got 3 weeks of hard work. So we just got to really focus now.
I know you must be proud of the 25 points, but actually to keep the RAF to no score in the second half is quite a feat.
Yeah, we knew they'd be very physical up front, so we had to null that. They got a few driving mauls, and we decided that has to stop, and we put a good stop to that in the end. But yeah, it's always nice to null a team, but yeah, the overall victory is just phenomenal. So.
Scott, great game, and we look forward to seeing you at Twickenham in a few weeks' time. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
A victorious captain there from the Royal Navy, and we'll try and find an RAF captain for you as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kath. I've just seen Dave Manning disappearing down the tunnel, but I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. It'd be great to get some sort of RAF reaction tonight. They played their part in a terrific match, and Josh McNally, I can just see Josh slightly hobbling over there away on the left-hand side, and we'll see whether we can get someone from the RAF to come and talk to us before we finish our broadcast this evening. Good to get a reaction from the Light Blues. As I say, they were triumphant this time last year, but it's not quite worked for them this time. In fact, Howard Parr, I think, is down there, and I think he'll be talking to Kath very, very shortly.
We join Howard Parr, head coach of the Royal Air Force. Howard, I know it's difficult to take, especially on a day like this and when you're champions, but what can you take from that game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, I thought the Navy played very well. I thought they were very physical, and I thought they outplayed us in various parts of the game. Every credit to the Navy, and I think they deserve to win it. Obviously, from our side of the house, it doesn't help when we have 4 injuries to key personnel, and we would have injured players that were playing, who wanted to play on. So there's a lot of endeavour from our lads, an absolute mammoth effort from the forwards. But on the day, I thought the Navy played very well, and the better side won.
And what do you do in situations like this when you've still got another game to win? Do you just focus on that fully now? And are you in camp and up until that Army game?
No, we don't have the luxury of being in camp as long as the other two sides. I think what we need to do is I need to go and have a look at the players to see what injuries we have got. So when we do regroup and we come back, I can see who's fit. They need to be managed, and obviously we'll put out the side we've got for the Army. We want to beat the Army, obviously, and we will come back strong.
I know it's difficult to take on a night like this, especially when it's just happened, but it is a good thing that the RAF have come on so much, and you know you're so much up there and winning it, and as are the Navy and as the Army, and it seems to swap every year. That is a good health of military rugby.
Yeah, I think service rugby is in a good place. I think all three services are now competitive. But in terms of content, no, I'm not. You know, I don't like losing. And I'll never be happy with losing, and neither will the players. The players won't accept that either. So yeah, in terms of service rugby, it is in a very good place. There are some very talented players coming through the system from all three services, but no, I'm not happy.
Okay, Howard, thank you very much, and we'll see you in Gloucester in a few weeks' time. Thanks very much, Howard. Cheers.
Howard Parr there, the RAF's head coach, director of rugby, talking there to Kath. Obviously very disappointed that his boys weren't able to produce the victory tonight, but again magnanimous in defeat, as one would always expect them to be. Well, that's just about it from us this evening. Andy, your final thoughts on what's been a cracking night of rugby, a great advert for Forces Rugby this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Typical Forces game, hugely committed. Boys getting stuck into each other, whether light or dark blue, both been a credit. The Navy will feel, nicely set up for May the 4th, and the RAF will be, raring to go at Gloucester. So, we're looking forward to both games.
Indeed. Well, it's great. It's been a great joy to have you with us this evening, as it was indeed Simon Ward as well, joined us as well for his expert analysis of this game. And just to remind you earlier on that it was a victory for the RAF women. The final definitive score, I gather, 67 points to 3. I thought that final conversion went over, but there the official score, 67-3 in favour of the RAF women against the Royal Navy earlier on this afternoon. We've got everything to look forward to at Kingsholm in a couple of weeks' time, when it'll be the turn of the Army to take to the field against the Royal Air Force. And we do hope you'll be able to join us then for live coverage of both of those games on Saturday, the 5th of April. Please, Saturday the 27th of April, I should say. So please join us for that. But from all of the team here, from myself, from Kath Brazier, Andy Sanger, and also from the rest of the team who have been along with us this evening, I hope you've enjoyed our coverage. We will see you again in a couple of weeks' time. From all of us, a very good night.